Today, boys and girls, you will learn how to understand a particular topic using different resources. So, what I mean by this is, when you have a question that you want to answer, like yesterday we went on a hike and you had a question about knowing the difference between millipedes and centipedes, right? The way you can find out the root of that answer is just not by reading one source like a book or article. You can also look at videos, you can look at pictures. So the more things that you look at, the better understanding you will have of the topic, a more complete understanding. Because you don't have to base your topic questions, your answers, you don't get them by just believing just one source. So the more things you read on a topic, the better and broader understanding you will have. So in order to get our minds ready for this, let's look at the vocabulary words for today. So the vocabulary words today are inquiry and investigate. So inquiry, do you know what an inquiry is? Inquiry is something that you have a question that you're going to do a research for. Right? So I have a question about let's say if I was looking at a tree and I know that in the fall the trees fall, I create a question like, why do the leaves fall off trees? That's my question of inquiry. This is a topic that I want to investigate. So an investigation, what's an investigation?
Investigation.
But what does it actually mean? To investigate.
When you're trying to figure out something.
Yeah, when you're trying to figure out into it. You look into it. You study it. You look at the different parts. Right? And one of the main things that helps you do this is by looking at the similarities and differences. So when something is the same, when something is different. Right? So in order to get our minds prepped around this, let's look at the difference between day and night. What is one thing that you know that is the same about day and night? In order to think about what happens during the day and what happens during the night. What do people do? What do animals do? What happens that is the same about day and night? Or think about the earth. What does the earth do during the day and in the night?
In the day, the earth, the sun, and the night, there's the moon.
Yeah, well, that's something that would be different, right? So you can say that. That's for something that is different. Let's put that down for difference. So the sun gives light. In the day, and the moon shines at night. Alright, so what is something that is the same about it? Think about what happens in each. Alright, let's look at
That the sun is circle and the moon circle.
Both have spherical shape. Alright, I put a line underneath that because I'm questioning the spelling. Wait, let me get from it. Okay, so let's just stop there with comparing those two. And also another thing you could have said was like both in the day and the night you have people, you have animals, they both are alive. Something else to say. Alright, so now let's get to our topic of investigation for today, which is going to be comparing centipedes versus a millipede. Let's write that down. Centipede versus millipede versus centipede. first thing we're going to look at is going to be a video. So, all right. Now, remember, as you are looking at the video, you should have created a chart similar to this, which can say similarities and differences. And I've also put the topic on top, which is millipede versus centipede. Make sure you write that inside of your notebooks, your scientific inquiry notebooks. Give me a thumbs up once you're done with that. Ready?
Yeah.
Turn your attention to the TV.
Oh, I love this
one. I'm Kyrie Peterson. Welcome to the desert millipede versus the desert centipede. Venturing into the nighttime desert is not for the faint of heart, as this cactus-strewn ecosystem is laced with a plethora of nocturnal predators. Whether it be scorpions, spiders, that right there is a black widow, sulfugids, or vinegaroons, these arachnids are certain to be on the prowl, as they use the cover of darkness to silently hunt for their prey. Look at that! Does that thing not look like an alien? All arachnids come equipped with 8 legs, and most are also armed with a set of fangs or a venom-injecting stinger. That is the most venomous species of scorpion in the United States. And he's on my hand. Alright, this makes me a little bit nervous. I want to see if I can get him to just sit still. However, if 8 legs, fangs, and stingers aren't enough to scare you, Arizona's Sonoran Desert is also home to a subphylum of creatures with even more legs, the myriapods, which consists of centipedes and millipedes. At the end of the day, both of these animals do their best to avoid humans. However, today we are going to capture one of each, so we can get them in front of the cameras for an up-close comparison. First, let's talk about the desert millipede. Now, millipede means 1,000 feet, and each one of these little body segments has 2 pairs of legs on it. Now, there's no way that I'm going to get underneath this creature and count its legs, but I can tell you from it crawling across my arm, there are a ton of them tickling me right now. It feels like a bunch
Something you
of
should be
little
writing
tiny
down.
pieces of Velcro grabbing onto your arm.
Milli means 1,000 feet.
Despite the name, there isn't actually a species of millipede on the planet that has 1,000 feet. On average, they have around 400, with the record being 750, more than any other animal in the world. These myriapods have very
Also, on average, they have
very simple
400
eyes
to
up front.
750
so they're really
legs.
using these antennae to help them navigate through the environment. And you'll see as he dances up in the air like that, he's basically looking for what his next move is going to be. If he can't feel anything with those antennae, he's kind of like, whoa, I've run out of road here. And until he bumps into something that he can walk on, he's just going to stay put until he can get those front legs planted. Now, the millipede doesn't have many predators, and that's because these little myriapods are actually poisonous. They do have glands that run along the side of their body, and if they are really, really threatened, they will secrete a nasty orange fluid, and it absolutely stinks. I actually got it all over my teeth the other night. Now, if you get the poison on your skin, all you need to do is wash your hands with soap and water, and you'll be just fine. Now, I'm completely comfortable with millipedes. They don't bite. If it doesn't bite, it can crawl all over me all that it wants. But the centipede is a whole different ball game. And we're going to get that guy out in a second and get a close look at that venomous little desert dweller. The desert millipede is virtually harmless to humans. And if you encounter one in the wild, just admire it from a safe distance. Okay, now we're on to the part of the episode that I have been dreading. There is no good way to do this. You just have to plop them out and go for it. Alright, here we go. Ready? Oh boy. Now he's kind of like, oh, I'm on the ground, and I'm on the move. Desert centipedes can inflict a very painful and venomous bite. So I stress, never attempt what I am doing. Okay, there we go. Now that I have his head under control, and more importantly, those fangs, I feel a lot better about this situation. Oh, look at how creepy that little desert creature is. Now what's really interesting is that the centipede means 100 feet. Each species of centipede varies. There's no way that this one has 100 feet, but as they continue to grow and their body segments elongate, they grow more legs. Now, one major difference between the centipede and the millipede is that the centipede has a very flattened body. This allows them to fit into crevices between rocks and allows them to glide very quickly over the surface of the desert. Now, these are voracious predators. They are out here right now walking the washes and searching through the rocks for other animals. They will eat bugs, they will eat scorpions, they will eat lizards, and the ones that grow to the size of the giant desert centipede, they will even take rodents. But the bite from a centipede of even this size is going to put you into some incredible pain. That's why I want to be as careful as possible while handling this myriapod. One really interesting feature about all centipedes is that you see the back end here, this rump, you have these two modified legs on the back end here, which have little hooks in them. Now this back end is pretty much a false head. It's the same color as the head is, and these two little modified feet on the back end here have hooks on them. So let's say you're a predator and you're coming in, you're like, all right, I'm going to get him. I'm going to bite his head right off. These little modified feet go up in the air, boom, and you get pricked with those little spikes. Throws you off guard. The centipede spins around, and that's when you get a bite from those venomous fangs. This is not a creature that is very easy to consume. Centipede venom is not considered deadly to humans. However, the pain has been said to keep a full-grown man on the ground in pain for several hours. Moral of the story? Steer clear of centipedes. I hope everybody enjoyed this comparison. The desert centipede versus the desert millipede. Both species are native to the Sonoran Desert, and I suggest avoiding both because the centipede is venomous and the millipede is poisonous. I'm Kyrie Peterson. Be brave, stay wild. We'll see you on the next adventure. Both of these myriapods play an important role in the ecosystem. And while they may be creepy and have a gazillion legs as compared to you and me, always try to remember that they're going to use each and every one to run in the opposite direction. If you thought that...
Alright, hopefully you got some good information off of that. Should I wrote down the similarities, differences. Another way to do that, you have to really focus on each. When he was explaining one, you need to get all the facts that you could off of that one. Explain the second one, you get all the facts based off that one. Alright, now, let's look at a different source.